Okay, so listen, I'm doing a little bit of a different video today, mostly because I wanted to talk about a little hobby that I have. I started it when COVID started, as most people got into hobbies. I picked up crocheting, which has been a lot of fun. I'll have to put a couple pictures like boop, 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 I don't know, around my head to show the projects that I have worked on. Currently, though, I wanted to show you guys a little project that I have been working on for a little while now and that I've recently picked back up. You know, when you get into maybe a little bit of a creative slump and you just need a different pace. Like I've been playing some slower games lately, some puzzle games, some games that are a little less story driven so I don't have to be so animated all the time. This is one of those things that I do when I need a change of pace. So lately I've been feeling a little bit low energy, a little unmotivated, so I haven't been really touching much in terms of games or anything else really. So I have been enjoying my favorite YouTubers and crocheting. I am currently working on these little granny squares. The granny squares will all come together to make a large throw blanket. The granny squares will all be pieced together, and along the seam here, I will sew it together. Well, not sew it, but crochet it, if that makes any sense. But it'll be like sewing. It'll just go along the seam, like these guys will go together. Anyway, eventually, these bits, you can see I have two colors. This is more of like a gold color. It doesn't really come across in the iPhone camera that I have set up so that you guys have a double view. You've got me here, but then you've also got me here. Okay. I'm planning on doing a little bit of a checkered sort of thing. I might end up adding another color. I'm not 100% sure. The process is not linear when it comes to me crafting. It's not linear at all. It's kind of all over the place. I go months without doing it and then I come back and I hyperfixate on it. And that's on ADHD. I just wanted to share that with you guys because it's kind of cool. I'm having a lot of fun doing it and it brings me a lot of joy to create something in my pastime that maybe isn't YouTube content, or maybe it isn't playing a video game or going for a walk. Sometimes I just like to sit, turn my brain off, and do a little bit of crocheting. These guys are an adaptation of a pattern that I came across when I was looking at getting into granny squares. This is the first pattern that I've ever done and the only pattern of granny squares that I've ever done. I think it's coming along nicely. I think it's pretty simplistic. Maybe next time I'll do one with less holes, maybe multiple colors in the pattern. I have seen a lot of those and they look really cool. So far, I like this. I think it's nice. And I mean, the little checkers in there, the little square holes that you see there, I think will look kind of cool with the checkered design that I'm gonna go for. So it'll be maybe a little cohesive. I don't know. I'm gonna try it out. A worst case scenario, I made something that I don't 100% love, but how many people can say that they've made a blanket? Another hobby that I enjoy is knitting. I love to knit. My current project, and has been my current project for the past year now. Like I said, I enjoy doing it for a while and then coming back to it later, leaving it for months and then working on it for months. So right, that's the ADHD. So I'm gonna go grab that. Okay, this one is a little bit, I'm gonna put some things on the table here. Yarn, for starters. That's my color. It's like a gray beige color. I don't know if that comes across in the camera, but I'm currently working on a sweater. And I didn't go for an easy pattern. No. Because I like to prove that I can be the best at something right away, and there's nowhere to go up anymore from there. Luckily, in knitting and crocheting, there are so many different patterns and so many different things that you can make that it makes it very easy for me to find something else that will challenge me and challenge this brain. So, what I'm working on currently is a sweater. And this is the state of it so far. I've got a I've got an arm over here that I'm working on. So it's almost done. The bottom's finished. You can see that I've finished the bottom here. This side doesn't have an arm. Doesn't have an arm yet. This side, the arm is slowly becoming an arm. Let me show you in this shot. See that? That's my sweater. It's a little shorter than I would have maybe liked, but I can always unravel the bottom here and make it less short. But I also haven't washed it yet, and it should stretch a little bit because, I mean, it's yarn. It's yarn. It's wool. You don't want to dry this. If you dry it, it's going to become a child's sweater. But yeah, so I started working on this last year around Christmas, and it's September now, and you can imagine this is how far I've gotten, right? With, I would say, constant work for a couple of months, and then it just completely dropped off, and now I do it when I feel like it, like if I'm watching a show or trying to wind down before bed. I'll knit. I'll dabble in the knitting, but it's not something that I do all the time anymore. But it is something that brings me joy, and I do love to share the joy. So I wanted to share the joy with you guys, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit because lately I've just been super low energy, like I said at the beginning of the video, and I'm feeling very unmotivated. Honestly, like, the YouTube grind is tough. I'm not out here trying to become like a big, huge, amazing, everybody knows me YouTuber. This all started because I was gonna play video games anyway, and I figured I would learn a couple skills along the way, like video editing or be a little bit more charismatic. I've definitely found that has happened, and I'm really enjoying it. I've considered cutting back the uploads a little bit because I do in fact have a 9-to-5 job. Like, it's not as though I'm just sitting around doing nothing. So the feeling of burnout, or the impending burnout, is very real, and doing 3 videos a week is a little challenging. Knitting and crocheting. Ooh, you might be able to see the colors a little bit better if I put them up here. Those are the colors. I really like them. I think they're nice. I love a mustard yellow. Anyway, what was I saying? Crocheting, and knitting are ways that I cope with burnout. Turns my brain off. Unless I'm doing a pattern that's challenging, it turns my brain off, which is good for me, because otherwise I don't really turn my brain off that much. I'm always thinking, always coming up with new ideas, new plans, or I'm cooking, or I'm doing housework, etc. I don't know if many of you know this, but my fiance is in medical school. So they've just recently started clerkship, which is extremely taxing on sleep, on being able to do social things, on just about anything that it could be taxing on. It's very challenging for them right now. So I take care of the extra stuff at home, which means that when I'm putting pressure on myself to not only work my full-time job, but also do all of that, and then in addition provide content for YouTube, it becomes stressful and difficult to manage all of that. And so I have to make sure that I'm being realistic about where my energy and my time goes. And the way that I take care of myself is by doing little things like this for me. Crocheting, knitting, reading. I'll probably do a separate video on the books that I've read this year because I think that's kind of fun. But yeah, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about that because I've been feeling impending burnout. So I'm reconsidering my upload schedule and how much time I put into YouTube, because at the end of the day, it's not something that I would consider an option in terms of like pursuing it as a career. Maybe, I don't know, but the growth is slow and YouTube is hard to grow on, and my Wi-Fi isn't good enough for me to stream. or I would love to. But as a renter and being somewhere that I'm not permanent, there's no real reason for me to put more money or more resources into something that doesn't really make a lot of sense. The Wi-Fi that I have works for what I need it to work for. I don't want to put more money into it right now. I would love to stream. I think that's a lot of fun. I have a lot of things to say. I love interacting with you guys and sharing myself with you guys. So that would be cool in the future. But as of right now, the growth is slow and I'll just take it as it comes, I guess. Maybe this video was a little bit less about crocheting and knitting than I thought it was going to be, and more about me just talking about how I'm feeling. I mean, I journaled about it, but I guess I needed to talk about it out loud. And you guys listen pretty good. You don't actually talk, so that's great. But yeah, I hope you liked my crocheting and my knitting. I will do what I can to put like some pictures around, maybe at the end, showing the projects that I have worked on, if I do have pictures. Like I've made like a stuffed animal, like a bunny, and then I made like this cute little mushroom stuffed animal. And it was like this big. It was a solid size, but those were really cool. They were really cool, really challenging projects to work on. And most of them were just gifts, which is so nice. I would love to receive a gift that somebody put that much time and energy into, because it does take a lot of time and energy to do, to put these sorts of things together. And I think that that is such a meaningful gift to give somebody. So I enjoy making them. I do dishcloths as well, which are always a hit. Try to get those out around Christmas time most of the time. I try to do that quite often. I've done it for my fiance's mom before, and I think I've done it a couple other times for friends as well. Everybody needs dishcloths. Come on, just pop a couple out. They don't take very long. Like these guys are essentially dishcloths, except smaller and more holes in them, right? They take me about 30 minutes, if that, maybe. If I'm really focusing, really concentrating, about 30 minutes. If I'm not really focusing or concentrating, an hour. I'd say an hour. But that's solely because I get distracted and not because it's a difficult pattern by any means. So yeah, that's how I'm feeling. That's what I've been up to. I hope you guys liked this video. It really is just a bunch of me talking at you, and sometimes that's okay. I hope you liked this second camera thing that I got going on here. This is basically just the setup that I used before I had a proper camera here. I got the camera over here on the little stand that I used to use my phone as a webcam. So I just have that set up as a second camera to show you guys the cool, fun stuff that's going on the desk. Yeah. So, thanks for watching. If you stuck around to the end, thank you. Let me know what you do to cope with burnout. I'd love to know. I'd love to hear your tips and tricks, because it gets tricky. It gets tiring and exhausting, and don't really understand why. But it happens. Happens to the best of us. Happens to the creatives. Happens to the little ADHD babies so much, so often. It's tricky. It is tricky. This is what works for me. Let me know what works for you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.